In this video, I'm going to talk about trackable recipes and the importance of using them. Now, first of all, the amount of restaurants or food businesses I've worked in or helped with who don't use recipes at all, it's quite remarkable because it's one of the most important things to create, to follow, so that you can basically make sure you make money and don't run out of ingredients and stock, etc. I'm just going to talk you through the pros and cons of it, and you'll learn a lot. So, problems with traditional recipes, they're vague instructions, like a pinch of this, just add a bit of this so it tastes how you think it should taste. As a result of this, it's hard to scale or cost accurately, inconsistent results between chefs. So when you ask a chef who is working on that day to make a bolognese sauce, for example, they might just make it how they were trained to make it or how they make it themselves. And the other chef, when they're now at work, they'll do their way, But this is not the way to follow a system so that you can cost it efficiently and make money out of it, basically. It also wasted ingredients and loss of profit. You can't trace the allergen and nutritional details. It's missed out. No visibility on gross profit. Training new chefs takes too long. Now, the solution is trackable recipes. Now, trackable recipes are a standard above normal recipes, because normal recipes, the very few restaurants I've worked in and food businesses who actually use recipes, they're not trackable, right? Meaning that they're not accurate, they're not wrote in very much detail, and they also don't have methods of cooking on them, which is another thing that it's a huge problem. If you've got a recipe, great, but if you don't have a detailed and simple to follow instruction or method of how to make that dish, you're again leaving it up to each individual to do it their own way. But trackable recipes, you can track the exact ingredients, quantities, and costs. Step-by-step methods ensure accuracy, scalable for any batch size, allergen data built in, clear, measurable GP per dish, easy for all chefs to follow, consistency. Like I keep going on about, because it's so important to do this. It really, really is. And the super benefits are: every dish tastes the same every time. All chefs follow one exact method. Allergen safety guaranteed. Understood cost, margins, and GP clearly. New chefs can deliver immediately. Faster onboarding, fewer mistakes, staff turnover doesn't affect quality. So what I basically mean by this is the trackable recipes, once you've wrote them, after you've wrote your menu and you've spent some proper time writing them in detail, it doesn't matter what member of staff is working on what day, because all they've got to do is follow to the detail using the exact instructions on each recipe for each dish and each component from your menu to the T. So you get consistency, and it doesn't matter who's working, because they just follow the recipe. And no recipe should be so technically advanced that the chefs can't use them, because if that's the case, then you wrote the wrong menu, or you've got the wrong staff to produce your menu you wrote. And when you get new chefs on board, when you get them new started, the first thing is just to get them, talk them through the recipes and show them the recipe folder and explain to them these are to the T exactly how you cook each dish, each component, and you follow it day in, day out. And it creates consistency, with all of with everything, with the flavor of it, the texture, the portion size, the colors on each dish, because obviously whatever components on the recipe, like whether it's carrots, whether it's parsnips, they just have to follow the recipe. And with your staff turnover, so when you have chefs, unfortunately, go to a third party restaurant, or you have to get rid of one of your chefs because of this, that, and the other, and you get new chefs in, they're straight in on day one, just following the system, following the recipe to the T. All right. And it's like a conveyor belt, a bit like a factory. This doesn't take away the ability to be creative in the kitchen, because that comes before you write the menu, and then after the menu becomes the recipes. But without having these trackable recipes, you're it's just made ad hoc style, and you're not going to get the same consistency. It's just not going to happen. And as far as costing a menu out is concerned, it's just not going to be right. It's not. It's wrong. Whenever you hear someone say GP, we've hit this month's GP target of like 68% or whatever they think it is. If they're not using recipes, that information they've given you, or that information that they are basically being deluded themselves with, it's incorrect. Because how can you know what GP you're making when you don't know how much of the ingredients you're using? If you own a car factory, for example, and you say to all the people that work in the factory that make the car that they can use as much of the parts as they want to make each car, as long as the car's red, and as long as it looks, a bit like we want it to look, and as long as it starts, then it's fine. Well, that's nonsense, because you've got no control of what your staff are using. And it's the same with cooking. It really is. But the amount of places I work in and help out in, which is dozens upon dozens over the years, it's shocking how many people don't use recipes at all. The biggest advice I have to anyone is start using trackable recipes. After this video, you'll see the next video of me talking through the actual trackable recipe that I've wrote and use, and I'll teach you how to use it, and you can then get an understanding of exactly the importance of using these trackable recipes in very, very great detail, basically, because it's so important. The benefits for your business: so it saves money and reduces waste, faster prep and training times, consistent flavor and presentation, supports sustainability and health goals, clear for profitability per recipe, ideal for audits and menu engineering. And also the environmental health officers who come on site as and when they book themselves in to do so. If you show them the recipes, the trackable recipes, and explain that this is exactly what you're cooking to the T, it's all going to help you. Because the other thing with not using recipes, which is actually quite worrying and dangerous, to be honest, is you have to put your allergen on the menu. If someone's got a nut allergy and they say to you that they've got a nut allergy, what on your menu's not got nuts in? You might be able to say to them, well, the steak doesn't come with any nuts, or the fish and chips doesn't come with any nuts, or the dessert of the day doesn't have any nuts in it. But how can you prove that the person that's made that dish, who hasn't used the recipe, hasn't used nuts in it? If you're serving a dish, he might have sautéed some nuts off as a little extra garnish. There's no control over it. It's so important to use recipes, all right? And just going forward from that, so how to use trackable recipes, step one. So preparation. Read the recipe before cooking. Gather ingredients and tools before cooking. Check portion sizes and units versus cost sheets. How many times do you see chefs, they just have a tray of random ingredients, and they just start peeling it, they start cooking it, but they don't know how much of it they need to use. So they're kind of peeling loads of onions when they probably need 50% of them. That's wasted ingredients, wasted GP, it's wasted time as well. It's very important to use recipes. So how to track a recipe, step 2. So the cooking. So follow each method step precisely. Use scales for accuracy. Note any substitutions or variations. You'll see in the recipe, the Trackable recipe video, I'll talk you through how to log all this when you write them. But without a recipe, there's no method to follow. You can't read a method to do it. So again, you're just making it up. This wastes time because people have got to remember how to do it. They've got to do it a second or third time if they get it wrong, which is quite likely if they're not using recipes. Don't be scared to use recipes. It's I don't know why people don't use them. It's not just you, I promise you, but I can assure you, if you start using recipes in the way I'm going to teach you, you'll be quite amazed. And this is the step 3 of using trackable recipes. So finishing and serving. So apply plating and garnish instructions. Keep portioning consistent. Record final weights and yields. This is all in the spreadsheet I'm going to show you in the next video. But how many times do you see a picture of each dish in the kitchen so that you can follow it for aesthetics, for plating, for presentation? You know, this is the final thing to do after the recipe is take a picture of it and put that picture in the folder at the back of each recipe in that folder. Or even still, you can put it on the wall, you know, so that people, the chefs can follow this. You know, it's a system, it's a process, it's a step-by-step way of creating the product that you're going to sell to your customers to make money and that they're going to enjoy, want to come back to enjoy it again. But if they come back again and it's different, which it will be if it doesn't have a recipe, they're not going to be as happy. You know, it really is. I'm going to go on about it, but it's so important to use recipes. And step 4, tracking and review. So log ingredients used and waste, record feedback and timing, refine recipes for flavor, efficiency, and GP. A quick tip: keep recipes digital for easy updates. Okay, include allergen and sustainability notes, train staff using exact procedures, review and improve margins regularly. Okay, so spreadsheets is what I'm referring to when I say digital. Okay, because spreadsheets, if you use spreadsheets already, you'll know whether it's for accounting or just being organized or whatever it is you use them for. But when you put recipes into a spreadsheet, first of all, it's very easy to follow because it's just structured. And secondly, it just adds everything up. It formulates everything. And I'm going to talk through this in the actual trackable recipe video in more detail. You'll understand it. This is more the theory of it, but we'll get to that in the next video. Now, I want you to contact and connect with me. So I've got a LinkedIn email address and website here that you can click on, connect with me and message me for more help, more information that you want. Or if you are struggling with anything in more detail or anything that you've not seen in this video, then please let me know. Thank you for watching. I hope this has been a bit of help, but the next video will go into this in more detail and you'll start to see this puzzle become a picture. Okay, so thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.